I'm Miriam Joy and welcome to my studio. Today we're going to be doing this beautiful Thanksgiving corn husk wreath. And I've done the garland, if you happen to see that video, and it's just basically the same idea, but I love how beautiful this wreath is, so we're going to show you how to make it today. I went and bought a package of corn husk. You can sometimes find them at some of the dollar stores, and I like the cheaper stuff. It's better to me. I think the more expensive the food stores, the more expensive it is. I think it has a little bit of wax on it, and the color doesn't want to absorb as well. So the cheaper kind you can find, the better it is. And it comes in a package, and there's tons in a package. Unfortunately, I've used all mine up. And so it goes a long ways. There's a lot of different things in it, so it really goes a long ways. I would think this one may be done with one package, but I would go ahead and do two. This is leftovers from my garland, so I would like to do like a couple packages of each color because you're dyeing them, and then you can do all these wonderful projects with it. So that's up to you. I did use the brown, the red, the orange, and yellow. I did use RIT coloring dye. I used the box except for the brown, and I couldn't find it in the box. And it was really, really simple. I also tried some leather dye, and I just put it into the warm water and just enough to color my leaves. You just want to keep it real concentrate. As same with the dye, you probably could use any type of dye. Just keep it real concentrate. You don't want to water it down a lot. So anything you want to try it to dye it with is fine. If you were doing just one little project, you might want to try your leather dye instead of spending all the money on the different dyes. But they're not that expensive, and a little bit goes a long, long ways. When you do the corn husk, the first thing you want to do is put them in warm water and then pull them apart, and then get them all down into the warm water, and then put them into your dye. Because if you leave them in one big batch, then it's not going to get absorbed and colored all the way through. Once they are done, you could do this before or after, it wouldn't matter. See how you have a flat side and you have a pointy side. Let's see if I can find one that I haven't cut in here. Now this one is big, so what I do is I split it in half, and then I'm going to take it and I'm going to make a point so that we have 2 points, and one's not pointed and one's kind of just sticking straight out. Now for my frame, I went to the Dollar Tree and I picked up one of these little, sorry, Christmas trees, but these are so good because there's so many things we can do with this. Check out my $3 wreath from last year's video that we turned into a beautiful Christmas wreath. And I just took my wire cutters and pulled it apart, and I have this great wire ring. And that was the cheapest way I found to do it. You may have a cheaper way to get your base, but you have this nice sturdy base. And then I end up using my greens for other ornaments and things as well. Instead of buying garlands or picks or pieces, that's what I use on that. Now I'm going to use painted paddle wire, which is what you usually find for your floral wire, and it is painted. I do not want the silver because I do not want it to rust, and I like having it on this so I can keep control of it and wrap it around as I'm going. I'm going to start by just tying it off. Just going to wrap that a couple times, and then that little tail, I'm just going to wrap all the way around that wire. I'm not worried about cutting it off or anything. Now when we're working with our corn husk here, I work in sections of 3, and I use a large, a small, and a smaller. And I take them, if this tail's out, then I put this one the other way, and I put the other one the other way, and I gather them in the middle. Now because we're going out, I always put this fat one on the bottom out to give it a real full look. Now we're going to take it one time, and we're not attached to our wire here. Make sure we're getting a good close view of that. And then we're going to come back up, and the second time we're going to lift these two in the middle up. And if you need to adjust it more to the middle, you can. And come up just a tad. See how we've got that wire up just a tad on that? We're going to come back around. Now we're going to attach it to our wire. And it's not all the way looped. So we're going to loop it one more time. And there is your row. And while we're putting that up higher, and that one didn't catch on me, so let me do it one more time. Because it's real important, because that's how we get that to stand up. So let's catch that one more time here. So we catch it and go around and back. Because this is what's going to give you the real full look on the wreath, instead of a flat laying just flat down just like that. And it would do that unless you put that second loop. It would lay just like that. So again, we're going to put that tail this way, this tail that way, and the smallest one in the middle. Gather them all together, loop them all around in the middle, bring those two up, leaving that third one at the bottom, looping that, and going over that wire, anchoring it nice and tight. One more time. We'll do one more. Big one at the bottom. That's a smaller one. This guy is really too wide. We're going to tear him in half. It's got a bigger one at bottom. Our second one. And our smallest one going the opposite direction. Big one at the bottom goes towards the outside. Going to gather that. Pull these up, the two middle ones, loop it, and anchor it. And kind of make sure that is all standing up as you're going. Now you don't want any room between these. You want them next to each other, but you don't want them so pushed up. You want them just laying flat and next to it. And your back is going to be totally flat, so this is great for a door or anything like that. Another thing I want you to think of is not just putting this on your door, but thinking about putting a glass container in here to put a candle in here and make this your table centerpiece as well, so that there's different things you can do with it. So we're going to finish this all the way around. You're going to just put it right next to each other, wire it, just cut your wire off and wrap it. Make it real simple. Don't make it hard on yourself. And we're going to go ahead and put a burlap bow on it, because I think it helps it just give it that little bit more fall feeling. One of the reasons we want to make, and I'm not sure if I covered this, if I covered it again, that's okay. You want to make sure that these are damp. You do not want these dry. If these are dry and you're working with it, they're just going to kind of crack and break as you're putting them together, and you're going to get all these different layers. So these need to be damp so that they're pliable. If you've just colored them and they're still damp, that's fine. You just don't want them soaking. You can see the water on my table where I've worked. So make sure that those are damp as you're doing that. And I am going to just do a real simple, here's one that's dry, I want to show you. it would just break just like that. So it's real important not to have those dry. We're going to do just a bow. And we're just going to bring that back and forth. And meet that tip up right there. Make that at an angle. And I'm going to bring my wire in. I want my wire a little bit thicker because I also want to make my hanger with it. I'm going to give it 3 layers here. I like to use my favorite thing to tie bows with are pipe cleaners, but sometimes finding the right color pipe cleaner, especially for a burlap color, really wouldn't work. And the burlap, this is a tougher burlap. You may want one that's a little bit softer, that's easier to bend. It is not quite as stiff. So we're just going to take our bow and tie that as tight as you can get it. Now we want to find a section that we think is a little bit down or lower. I'm going to go ahead, don't leave it setting this way because you don't want to break the thing. I'm going to tie it this way, and then I'm also going to twist it together and twist that back again so I now have my hanger to hang it on. So I can put it on the door if I want to. If what we're going to do is a candle, just flip that back over and it will not show at all. We're going to fluff our bow and we're just going to bring those down a little bit. And you could even make that a little bit wider, maybe even on your bow, to show up a little bit more. But that is our wonderful corn husk Thanksgiving wreath. And I love the bright and the fall feel of that. If you're a gourd person, you could put some gourds in there as well. Just kind of wire them in on spots here and there. So I hope you enjoyed that. Come on over to my page at miriamjoy.com. We have lots of fun products for you, as well as our YouTube link where you can come over and see more of our wonderful, fun YouTubes. Thank you and God bless.